Hello and welcome everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan. And before we go ahead with our episode today, I really wanted to give out this very important information which is displayed on the screen. And that is, by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. And once again, welcome back everyone to this enlightening episode on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And today we're going to have a very special guest join us for the second time, actually. So I don't know if you could catch her last time, but without further ado, please help me welcome back immigration attorney Gianna to the show once again. How are you doing today, Gianna? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nipasa. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me again on this immigration jobs talk show. I'm really excited to talk more about asylum and about some other really pressing topics in immigration now.
Me too. Already looking forward. I have been excited and I'm very glad you could join us today, friends. And Gianna has been practicing immigration since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Gianna, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we head on to the topic?
Right. So, yeah, my name is Gianna Florentino. I was born and raised in New York. I started law school in 2015, 2016 at this point. And so I went to law school, University of Buffalo. I graduated there with a concentration in immigration. I spent all of my time while I was in law school, all of my internships, externships, studying immigration as I'm just really interested in this area. I think it's an area of the law where people need the most help. They don't know the language, they don't know the law, and I think it's super important to help as an attorney those people who are most disadvantaged in society and need the most assistance. And that's why I went into immigration. I've been practicing as an admitted attorney since 2022. I worked for a firm briefly for about a year or so, and then I actually started my own firm with my partner Jared Four. So we have our firm Florentino, where we practice immigration and have a lot of expertise in various areas. And we're very fortunate to be able to serve our communities.
Absolutely. And amazing work, I would say, Gianna, and to four as well out there. So we're honored to have you and your expertise with us today, I would say. And I think we should just go ahead and continue our exploration of asylum process in the United States. I mean, this is a continuation of our previous episode, friends. So are you a U.S. asylum seeker? And this is the masterclass once again. And Gianna is going to just help us by shedding some light on views. And I think we can expect a lot in today's episode. So stay with us, I would say. And Gianna, I think without further ado, we should just go head on straight to the question I got for you. And that is what are some common mistakes applicants make during asylum application? And how can these mistakes be avoided or corrected by applicants?
Thank you, Nipasa. Yeah, this is a really great question. So, one of the biggest mistakes that I see applicants make during the asylum process is to wait to find an attorney. So, very frequently, people are coming, whether it's through the border or through the airport, and they're coming into this country because they're fleeing really difficult situations like domestic violence, gang violence, persecution, political persecution, detention, in their home countries, maybe war, natural disaster. And so once people get to the United States, they feel comfortable, they feel relaxed, they feel like they can finally breathe again, which is great. We love that for them. But one of the biggest things is that every day you're in the United States counts, right? So every day you're here without legal status counts towards what's called unlawful presence. Um, Once you gain over more than 6 months of unlawful presence, you might have a difficult time in the future adjusting your status to a resident. So one of the biggest mistakes is to wait until you're scheduled for court or wait until your first ERO check-in with ICE to actually find an attorney. Because like we talked about last class, there's a strict 1 year filing deadline, which means 1 year after your entry to the United States, you need to have applied for asylum if you're going to. Of course, there are exceptions, but they are difficult to meet the requirements for. And so for that reason, I recommend at least having a free consultation with an attorney as soon as
Mhm.
humanly eligible once you arrive in the United States.
True, friends. So, I mean, to get the correct direction, it's always best to consult an attorney, an expert, because they are the best at the field and they would be able to guide you properly. So,
Right.
yeah, anything else you want to add, Gianna?
Yeah, additionally, another reason to consult with an attorney or to, kind of start that process as soon as possible is to make sure you can get your work permit or to at least increase the chances. Because, like I said, people that are coming into the country now, the cases are being processed very, very quickly. The government wants to process these cases within 6 to 8 months, but we know that you need at least 6 months with an asylum application pending in order to become eligible for that employment authorization card. So the sooner you file that asylum application, the sooner you can apply for that card. And the goal is to get that card, which now has a validity period of 5 years before you get to your final hearing in immigration court, for example.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gianna, for taking that up and explaining to us so well. Moving on, after the common mistakes, we also have some very common misconceptions. So if you could also tell us about some misconceptions and the spelling notions in obtaining U.S. asylum, um, especially for those who are seeking it, and how
Yeah,
can applicants navigate these for better outcomes?
right. So with respect to misconceptions about the asylum process, I would say there are many. First and foremost, what really bothers me as an immigration attorney is when I hear whether it's pundits or politicians or just people in conversation telling me or saying that I don't have a problem with immigration so long as it's legal. And all of these people coming in are illegal. They're not coming in legally, and that's my problem. I'm sure that
Mm,
you may have heard this before. But what people don't
very much.
understand is that seeking asylum is a legal right. It's a legal process. You have a legal right as an asylum seeker to avail yourself of the protections of the United States government. So if you have a viable application for asylum and you're fleeing persecution, showing up at the
Mhm.
border without a visa is entirely legal, and it's exactly the process that exists for asylum seekers. So for people to say that it's illegal to be seeking asylum is quite literally a complete contradiction because this is a legal
Mhm.
process that the government has afforded to asylum seekers. So that's the first misconception that I think is really important for people to understand.
True, true. And I think everybody has this thought behind the head, even if they're not saying it outright. So thank you for clearing that out. So it's a big misconception, friends. You have to stop that.
Yeah.
Anything else,
Yes.
Gianna?
So with respect to the public, another misconception about asylum is that people that are coming in are receiving all of these benefits, right? They're getting health care, they're getting government subsidies, they're getting unemployment, they're getting, some sort of benefit from being here. When in reality, the people coming into the border, they're not eligible for anything. They're not eligible to work. They're not eligible to receive health care in most situations. They're not eligible to receive government benefits. They're not eligible for government loans for school. And it's actually really
Mhm.
difficult to navigate life in the United States without this support. So I think it's a big misconception that people are just able to come here and receive benefits when in fact it takes people, years to get even the ability to lawfully work. And so that's another
Mhm.
misconception that I think, people are not understanding. And I think, it's important to understand the context and the struggles that these people have to go through in order to actually make it in the United States. It's not easy, especially when you're facing all of these
Mhm.
obstacles. A lot of times you don't have say you come from a country that if you leave the country, they'll take your passport away. If you're here in the United States without a passport, without documentation, you can't get a bank account, you can't get health care, you can't buy a house. And so, I think we need to be a little bit more appreciative of, what we have here in the United States and the struggles that people endure in order to get here. I do have one more point on this, which is from misconceptions from the point of the asylum seeker. So let's say I'm applying for asylum. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that asylum seekers themselves have is that the quantity of evidence you have in your case has a direct correlation to the outcome. So, for example, I have a lot of proof of what happened to me in the home country, so I have a strong asylum case.
Mhm.
Or Maybe they say, I have no proof of what happened to me, and so I have a terrible case, right? But I think what's really important is that it's not the quantity of evidence, but the quality. And in
Mhm.
addition, what exactly is the evidence demonstrating? Right?
Mhm.
So, for example, you can have, a police report, a medical report, letters from friends and family. You can have all of the evidence in the world, but if what you're proving is not sufficient under the law to qualify you for asylum, it doesn't matter how much proof you have of what happened to you, you likely still will not be able to win your asylum case. Um, and additionally, some people have no proof. They're like, I have nothing. I don't have any
Mhm.
medical reports. I didn't ask the police for help. I don't have anyone that witnessed it. I was alone. And so I can't apply for asylum. That's not true. A lot of the evidence in these cases is based on testimony. And so your testimony about what happened to you is evidence. And insofar as the court believes you and you're telling a credible story, you might be able to qualify and win your asylum case with not a shred of evidence. And that's why it's important, again, to consult an attorney who's experienced in the law, because depending on what has happened to you, you might very well qualify for asylum.
So interesting. Wow, that is a new thing I learned today. But thank you so much for clearing out so many misconceptions. And folks out there, I think before you pass out a comment or even judge asylum seekers, please find out. And they're fighting their own obstacles, their battles daily. You just don't know what they're going through. So thank you, Gianna, for that. Thank you for taking it up. So I'll take this moment to say a big hello to all folks out there who have joined us. Jazila on YouTube, hi, Shokat on LinkedIn, Raji on YouTube. We will take up your questions. Just stay with us. And wherever you have joined us from, friends, don't forget to tell us which city or state you have joined us also. It helps us give you better answers. So and we are streaming live currently on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So drop in your comments wherever you're watching us from. All right. And also, Gianna, this latest visa bulletin. So if you can share some information about the updated visa bulletin.
Right. So the visa bulletin, for those who don't know, this is basically a preference, a categorization of preference categories for family members, for their visa petitions that are not what's called immediate relatives. So immediate relatives are anyone who is a spouse of a United States citizen, anyone who is a parent of a United States citizen, and anyone who's a child, meaning under 21, of a United States citizen. So these people are not included on the visa bulletin, which means when you apply for a spouse, when you apply for a parent or a child, these applications are getting processed as quickly as possible. There's no wait time for these applications, which is great. However, there are wait times for several other categories of relatives, and that would be found in the visa bulletin. So basically, every single month, the government comes out with the visa bulletin to tell you what are the categories of the relative petitions and how long the government is taking to actually process them. So right now we have 5 different categories. We have F1, which is the first preference category. This is sons and daughters over the age of 21 of United States citizens.